Welcome back to the light. We are now going into part 2 of the official probable cause court documents in the case of Rebecca Park. So let's get straight back into it. Due to reported activity on Rebecca's social media platforms, pen register search warrants were obtained and served on her known social media accounts. However, no outgoing use was ever identified. On November 15, 2025, Candace Freeman reported to Deputy Jacob Koppelman that her sister, Courtney Bartholomew, had texted her on October 28th that she had given birth to a son and was asking Candace for items for the baby. Through a series of text messages, Courtney said that she had given birth at 28 weeks. The baby was in the NICU, which is the neonatal intensive care unit, in Grand Rapids, and that she had named the baby Ashton Lee Bartholomew. Courtney told Candace, quote, "He's supposed to come home this coming week. As long as he's doing good still, he will." On Monday, November 3rd, 2025, at 14:52, Candace asked Courtney if she was able to bring the baby home, and Courtney told her, quote, "No, he did a backslide, but still hoping this week." On November 3rd, 2025, at 23:17, Courtney sent Candace a text that reads, quote, "My son passed away." On Tuesday, November 4th, at 11:18, Candace asked if it was because he wasn't strong enough or if he had gotten sick. Courtney answered, quote, "I don't know what happened. I just know he wasn't getting air," and added, "All I know is I watched my child die right in front of me." Candace asked if she was there when it happened, and Courtney answered, quote, "Yes, I was." On Tuesday, November 4th, at 19:11, Courtney begins to discuss with Candace that Rebecca Park is missing. On Tuesday, November 11th, 2025, preservation's requests for tower dump area search for the tower and the location, and then it has coordinates, between the hours of 1900 and 2200 on November 3rd, 2025, were submitted to T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon Wireless. Detective Lieutenant Pisker had contacted Courtney Bartholomew about another interview. Bartholomew was reluctant to come in, suggesting that Deputy Reed's interview with her had been thorough, but eventually agreed. On Tuesday, November 11th, 2025, at 13:49, Detective Lieutenant Pisker conducted a recorded interview with Courtney Bartholomew. Initially, some background on Courtney and her biological children raised by the Park family is established. Courtney then reports how Rebecca and Richard Fowler were initially dating and they broke up. A relationship between herself and Rich then commences. Courtney reports that she was planning to divorce Bradley. Courtney then became pregnant and was unsure who the father might be, Bradley or Richard. Because of this, she stopped her divorce approximately 2 weeks before the court date for the divorce. Courtney reports that Rich showed up at her house with the intention of shooting Bradley Bartholomew. After Courtney rejected Rich, he resumed his relationship with Rebecca Park. Courtney also reported that Rich had turned to her residence and raped her forcefully, causing her to have a miscarriage of the baby she was carrying. A report of this incident was made with the sheriff's office. However, Courtney said Rich was not charged. Courtney identified that she was concerned for Rebecca as she was aware of how abusive and aggressive Richard Fowler could be and has encouraged Rebecca to leave Rich. When Detective Lieutenant Pisker asked about things leading up to the weekend, Courtney reported on Kimberly and Rebecca coming over on Saturday, November 1st, 2025, to her residence at 30 South 21.5 Road. Courtney told Detective Lieutenant Pisker about giving envelopes to Kimberly and Rebecca. These envelopes were later reported by both Kimberly and Rebecca to have been empty. Courtney said that she was going to give Rebecca cash and didn't want Kimberly to feel left out, so she wanted Kimberly to set up an account so she could put money in an account for her. Courtney then reports having forgotten to give Rebecca some items for her baby while at the house, so she contacted Rebecca and then brought the items to her at Richard Fowler's house Saturday night. Courtney then told Detective Lieutenant Pisker that on Sunday, November 2nd, 2025, she was supposed to pick Rebecca up to have milkshakes at Dairy Queen and get Rebecca laundry soap. These plans fell through when Rebecca went to Cadillac Munson Hospital as she thought she was in labor. Courtney reported that she and Bradley both visited Rebecca and Rich in the hospital that day. It is confirmed that Rebecca was not in labor, had only dilated to 1, and she was released from the hospital. Bartholomew drove Rebecca and Rich home from the hospital. Courtney said that when they arrived at Fowler's, he offered to take her home with her, and Rebecca requested that they just meet for milkshakes tomorrow, Monday, November 3rd, 2025, and talk. On Monday, November 3rd, 2025, Courtney said that she went to pick Rebecca up between 1830 and 1900 at Fowler's. Courtney reports that as they ride, Rebecca said she was tired, which she confronted by telling her she looked stressed. She claimed that Rebecca was upset with Rich, identifying that he had been hounding her to obtain money to fix his truck. Courtney talked about how she encouraged Rebecca to leave Rich, but said Rebecca was afraid to leave him. Courtney said when they arrived at her house, she gave Rebecca an envelope with $2,000 cash in it, and they discussed Courtney throwing her a baby shower. She identified that Rebecca didn't want a baby shower because she was afraid that Children's Protective Services was going to take the baby. Courtney said that while they were talking, Rebecca was texting on her phone and mentioned the possibility that she had two phones. Courtney said she went into the house to get laundry soap, and that when she came back out, she said, "I noticed that she deleted something, but didn't know what it was or which phone it might have been on." Courtney said she told Rebecca that she would take her back home, but Rebecca told her to hold on, she had someone coming to get her. Courtney said she pulled out of her driveway and a car came up behind her. She identified that she didn't ask Rebecca who it was out of fear she would push her away, but Rebecca had told her she would be back. Courtney said the car had dark tinted windows, there was no plate on the car, but she could tell it was a Chevy. When questioned that social media was reporting the car had tailgates of an Impala, Courtney confirmed she was the source of that information. Courtney talked about someone Rebecca knows who has a Chrysler 300 also having similar taillights. Bartholomew didn't follow the car as she again said that it would upset Rebecca if she had. Courtney said that at about 2300 she reached out to Kimberly to get Rich's number. At about 23:30, she said she tried to call Rich, so she sent him a text that Rebecca had left with someone. Courtney confirmed that Rebecca was texting while they were together. Her next contact with Rich was Tuesday morning, and she reported telling him that she had given Rebecca $2,000. Courtney then said that Kimberly sent her the GPS location to Rebecca's phone, which she said she put into her phone and it took her right to her phone. When I asked who went and got the phone, Courtney then identified, quote, "we," who was identified as Bradley and herself. It is reported that Bradley found the phone and he then handed it to Courtney. Detective Lieutenant Pisker confronted Courtney of an image she had sent to Rebecca of a check that was made out in her name for $18,000. She claimed that when her mother died, she was left money to do with what she pleased. Courtney confirmed that she sent an image of a check to Rebecca, but she had not given the check to her. Courtney denied that there was a similar check made out to Kimberly. A statement that Courtney had tried to have this meeting prior had fallen through because she didn't have things in place that she needed to. Courtney said I was simply getting kids together one at a time was what wasn't falling into place. When Detective Lieutenant Pisker confronts Courtney that the phone records for the phone that was found on the 2-track was not used to summon someone to pick her up, Courtney then identifies that there are possibly 2 other phones she uses. Courtney brings up the names of other people she thinks may be involved based on rumors, specifically that Mike Haynes and Ashley Croes were supposed to help Rebecca get away from Fowler. That is the end of part 2. I will see you over in part 3.